Time to get serious, Matthew.
Oh yeah, things getting wild here in a hurry.
Breathe in through your nose.
Breathe out. Your
Now
mouth.
do this for
Wax
the
on, wax
next
off.
24 hours.
Wax on, wax off.
Danielson, you're going to be doing this to your windshield.
Yeah, you will.
Getting snow, wax on, wax off the windshield. Another snowstorm for some of us in the Ohio Valley. These things, they're quick movers. They've been relentless. It has been a wild start to December.
Record start with the snowfall earlier.
Maybe record cold.
Yes.
Coming up. And
maybe top 10 record snowiest Decembers with these next couple rounds.
And then a blowtorch potentially by Christmas that'll have no snow anywhere around here, and we will flip it up and do the exact opposite. Yeah. That's a long way off. Let's do the here, the now. 2 snow makers tonight, and then another one late Saturday afternoon into Saturday night, and a little bit of crazy. But we're going to make it through, man. We're going to do this bad boy. Let's talk about what's happening right now and basically the setup that is going to get us there. Flurry spit out of these clouds, not a big deal at all.
Dense cloud cover keeping us cool all day long. Well below average again, by 15 degrees?
Cold's established, average high now, mid to upper 40s, kind of 45 to 50 in the area is what our average high is. Low to mid 30s for the rest of the day, just stuck. So we'll continue to move on past this. Let's get to the cause. And when you get out to just west of the Mississippi River, it's a warm front. It's a big warm front. And we're going to show you temperature extremes that's helping create this snow.
And you can see the snow stretching from the northern Rockies or northern plains all the way down to almost the Mississippi River already. And this is all just ahead or north of that warm front. That's the same stream of snow that's going to be moving our direction. We'll show you guys the winter storm advisories or winter weather advisories that are in effect here in a little bit. And they line up perfectly with where this snow is and then that big stream that's going to be heading our way.
This is actually a relatively classic storm that affects the Ohio Valley.
Okay.
When you look at this right now, it does not look that daunting.
No.
I mean, it's a tiny area of snow that's just beginning to form. But what's going to happen, we are right in the middle of this path that's going to take accumulating snow, get a lot of Kentuckiana. There's a ton of moisture. The temperature gradient is the key to all of this, really, that's going to help that storm track produce 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, more than 3 inch amounts, depending on your location.
I thought you were about to go Dr. Seuss on us there. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, blue inch. I don't know.
We're going to add it up a little bit. This is water vapor imagery, where we have moisture, where we don't have moisture. And I say somewhat of a classic storm for the Ohio Valley. Energy in the Pacific Northwest. This is all Pacific moisture, and there is a lot of it. Yeah. I mean, you look at the charts here from the low to mid levels up, we have heaps of moisture to tap into, and notice how it starts to arc and aim right towards the Missouri Valley, Ohio, and Tennessee Valley. So this is mid-level moisture up at around 10 to 20,000 feet where the snow is made. This is always an indicator that if you're going to get a decent snow, if you see a setup like this where there's rich moisture, well, it should grab your attention. Right. And the reason this is somewhat classic, that energy out in the Pacific Northwest, that low pressure, clipping in British Columbia, Alberta, and then takes the dive. Where's it moving, Matthew?
Right down here to us, baby. Let's follow that temperature gradient, or at least just north of it. I mean, you see it's 21 in Des Moines, 33 in St. Louis, 33 in Louisville as well. There's a lot of warm air coming up from the south, again, between or south of that warm front, but none, obviously, north of it. You can see temperatures up there in Canada. Boy, they are bone-chilling cold.
Denver, 67.
Yeah. That's so significantly warmer than we're at right now. But, of course, they're upper elevation. You're like, man, they should be so much colder than us. That's all of that warmth south of that boundary. But north of the boundary is that really cold air. So, again, we're watching the snow going to be on the north side of that temperature gradient. We're stuck in the cold here. And you know, there's always something. You can always learn something with every storm system that comes through. But this is only my second big winter forecasting as a meteorologist. And so Jude and I have been running through maps and stuff, and he's been showing me different things that he's looking for throughout the atmospheric column for this. Of course, moisture being one of the most important things. So with the last round of snow that we got earlier this week, yeah, we had snow, but we didn't have a ton of moisture with it. The round before, there was a lot of moisture. This round, a lot of moisture to work with here, especially in those mid-levels like you were talking about.
It looks similar to that snow that we had where some places picked up 3 inches. A lot of Jefferson County and Metro had 4 to almost 5.
Yeah.
temperature around 32. It was that wet, gloppy snow, heavy, wet snow. So we have that same characteristic with this. Very similar with the overall timing happening tonight, and it's going to wrap up around daybreak tomorrow. At least the majority of the snow is like 8 p.m. tonight through about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's when the majority of it falls. The winter weather advisory, 7 p.m. tonight through 7 a.m. tomorrow, and that makes sense. You were discussing that winter weather advisory, how if you follow it from the Dakotas and then right to us, right on the boundary, the midst of the 60s, the 50s, and then the 20s and 30s, and we're right in the middle there.
This advisory, and you know, I don't have an exact description of how wide is a typical winter weather advisory swath, but this one's pretty thin, and but it's very long. So there's really all the models have come together based on the last 36 hours or so to say that there is going to be this large swath of 2 to 4, 5 inches of snow, again stretching from the Dakotas all the way down here to our area.
And the last couple of days, that energy that we're tracking that's going to give us the snow, it was out in the Pacific. It was out of the grid. Weather balloons weren't sampling it. Well, what happened since last night is it starts to head inland. Balloons sample it. We get better
data
information. So now we're getting a lot more, you know, uniform. What word am I trying?
Uniformity.
Uniformity.
There you go.
Uniformity.
Thank you very much.
They're
what
uniform.
movie is that?
They're
Cinnamony.
They're coming together. So, you know, there's not something way out here and then a crazy solution here, and you're wanting to blend stuff. We have a lot more that's lined up that gives us pure evidence. It says there's going to be snow. Some of us will consider this a significant snow. If you pick up more than 3 inches, that's a good snow for
especially
here in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So the winter weather advisory that does not include like Meade and Perry and Hardin and LaRue, you go south. One of the things that we wanted to make sure to mention that tonight when the snow begins, there is going to be snow in quite a few of these areas where there's no advisory. The amounts aren't expected to be as high as what we're going to get just north of there, but there could be a quick inch or so that falls in some of these areas tonight. After the sun goes down, the roads could very well quickly be covered up. So it's borderline advisory. Just be ready for that. I don't want you to whoop, I'm in Hodgenville, forget it. I'm not even going to pay attention to the forecast.
No, Nemo's right. If you're not in the
Did you say
Nemo uniform anonymity. He's right. Just because you're not inside one of these winter weather advisories doesn't mean that you're not going to have impacts. You see on Advanced Track already snow spreading across our area during or just after the dinner time hours. And that southern side of the system does get our southern counties, but it doesn't last there a long time. Right. We go a few hours in the future here, and you'll notice it's already starting to pull back north, which is why we're really honed in on an area right along and north of the 64 corridor for the most part, getting the heaviest of that snow here.
We had a few messages this morning. There were some concerned parents and grandparents, and for good reason. One of them mentioned that their grandson had a concert series performance tonight, and it was at Mail, and it began at 7 o'clock. She's like, I don't know if I should go, if it's worth it. You know, what are the roads going to be like? Here's the thing. So,
how much do you love your grandson? Right. That's the question.
That's a valid point. Ball practices that get over tonight. High school basketball season's ongoing. You might be going into auditoriums, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Nothing
it's not
out
even
there.
snowing just yet for some of us, or it's just beginning. But say you leave, it's 9 or 10 o'clock. Temperature's about 31, 32 degrees, and we have steady snow. This is going to be something you absolutely want to check in with Mark and Rick tonight, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, to see the latest live radar trend. This could be a sneaky one where all of a sudden in 2 hours the roads become dicey. Anything that's not treated, this is going to stick. It's going to come down heavy enough for a little while that it's going to stick to pavement. You know, I mean, even with brine that's been put out all over the place, there's going to be steady snow for a while. It'll be cold enough that this will accumulate.
You know, a lot of times we talk about snow coming in and we mention the models and we say, well, you know, it's probably going to start a little bit later. because there are dry pockets of air in the atmosphere that snow's falling through, so it's evaporating or sublimating, and so it's got to moisten up the atmospheric column before it really gets here. I don't think that that's the case this time, and so when the models are saying that snow should be falling around 7 o'clock, that's probably going to be the case this time, 7, 8 o'clock, not waiting a 2-3 hour period for that snow to actually get down to the ground.
Another thing to keep in mind as you're looking at the radar trends now, we were at the beginning of this, we had the warm front on there and it looks a little disjointed. This is basically all going to happen at once as it moves in. It's going to develop quickly. Don't look at the radar and see a wimpy looking snow area and be like, it should develop basically right on top of us and then stay steady in the area for much of the area. Like I said, 8, 9 o'clock through about 4, 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. As you see, southern Indiana, central Kentucky, northern Kentucky, but that southern flank where it began, notice how it nudges up north from the parkways and then really around Metro Louisville.
And that's why our snowfall totals in the southern half of this are going to be much, much lower than we're anticipating up here to the north. But still really honed in on that between Louisville and Cincinnati, somewhere in that corridor, there's going to be a 3 to 5 inch band of snow easily. I still think that widespread 3 is a pretty good bet around here.
It looks pretty close.
Yeah.
Like there should be a decent chunk with near 3 inches.
Yeah.
Another point to make as we watched all that, it was falling with temperatures 31, 32, 33 degrees. So if you let this snow come down, think back to that last week, Monday night, Tuesday morning, similar conditions, temperatures and all that. If you let the snow come down, do its thing. Say you get 2 inches, say you get 4.6 inches. Go out and shovel it, plow it. The snow plows are going 5, 6, 7, 8 in the morning. This is easy to manage. This is a kind of snow that can easily be plowed. Now, if you're shoveling, it's heavy and wet. It can kill you if you're not ready for it. These are Widowmaker snows, that heavy, wet stuff. But since it's not real cold, you do that, you put salt down, things are going to clear up quickly.
Yeah.
It really should.
And throughout the day Friday, we should be warming up some.
Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Midday, mid-30s. Some of us will be like upper 30s to about 40 as we draw in some warmth. So most roads in the afternoon should be really nice.
Clear out rapidly. And, even the untreated ones, I think, will see significant improvement throughout the day. We saw that with this last round. I mean, my neighbor had called me. He said, hey, I'm on the HOA. Want to be fiscally responsible with our budget? Should we get a snowplow? And I said, I just don't. And when we had that heavy snow, and it melted very, very fast. So this may be one of those scenarios again, but for our early morning risers, before any plows hit your neighborhood or before we see any sort of melting, you're probably going to run into some issues before getting on the roadways.
You want to show this this generic 1 to 3 inch before we show you the bullseye zone, the target. Talk about this 1 to 3 inch area.
I mentioned earlier widespread 1 to 3, and I think a lot of places can hit right up to that 3 mark. The further south you are, the faster that we call it a gradient. So the faster you go from 0 to what's going to be 3 or more in some locations that you'll see in blue in just a second here. But yeah, that southern edge of the storm system is going to put down a quick inch of snow or so in our southern counties and then pulls north, but continues dumping snow over the Louisville region, just north of Louisville, Oldham County, Henry County, those spots that we're going to include in that blue band in a second here, and of 3 or more.
On the midday show on WDRB News, I was in the weather office. You were over at the maps pointing stuff out, and I heard you mention that on the southern side of this, this might change a little bit. You might have an inch, say in southern Hardin County. You might just get an inch of snow. Northern Hardin County could have a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Where you see the southern edges of this 1 to 3 inch band, definitely go on and focus on the lower end totals. But there could be some places that we're showing you that 1 to 3 inch band, and it doesn't even happen. It just quickly snows and then moves off to the east, northeast rapidly.
And most of that going to be falling right at the beginning here, before or just after midnight at the latest, and then your morning commute is going to have a lot less snow falling at that point.
It should be much, much better.
Yeah.
Where you get that first round down south and southwest. it should, as that snow stops, things should clean up.
And so
Okay.
here's that blue band that we were talking about, 3+ inches. Now, is it going to be like, oh, 3 to 4? I think that's a pretty good guarantee, or a pretty safe bet in our higher totals.
Oh, he said
But
guarantee.
sorry, better bet, better bet, better bet. But you could take this to 5. In fact, we've seen a couple of models get closer to 6. You know, that I think that would be tougher. But a 3 to 5 is a pretty safe range in that blue band where there are going to be spots that get 3, and you very quickly see a few neighborhoods over 4 to maybe 5 inches of snow.
Bottom line, high impact, falling at night, overnight at least. A lot of us won't be on the road, so there'll be plows and
They've
salt
already
trucks
brined everything,
doing their thing, which is good. High impact for anyone traveling tonight. As you mentioned, super early risers tomorrow, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. It's not going to be fun.
right?
Even if you get 1.5 inches, if you get 4 inches, there are going to be problem areas, especially neighborhoods, residential, side streets, less traveled, roads that don't get the friction and a lot of, rubber hitting the roads to it. It's going to take a little bit longer.
And I think that that's why we're going to see probably some decent school cancellations,
You would think, yeah.
especially in the spots that are included in these advisories. The further south you are, the lower that chance is. But I've had a handful of teachers reach out and say,
Yeah.
we'd really like to have our Friday for a nice extended weekend. I can't blame you.
Here's some inside analysis to consider. It's a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a little bit easier to call things off and have a 3-day weekend? Yeah.
I think if I want to be a nice superintendent, I'm going to do it.
Believe me, that plays a role into some decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make it a 3-day. Here's another important
They've already
thing.
told their kids, a lot of them have said e-learning day potential. Right. Make sure that you tell your students, I'm sending a packet home with you.
On Monday morning, we had that snow that hit. I mean, again, the timing was atrocious. 4, 5 o'clock, we began with some light snow.
Mm-hmm.
And then between 6 and 9 o'clock, with temperatures 28 to 31 degrees, the snow was steady. It was coming down when everyone was hitting the roads in the highest populated areas. You know, I'm not going to knock a superintendent or whoever for whatever decision they make. I don't even know what, who knows what forecasts they're getting? Who knows if they're even listening to forecasts? I don't know. But what I do know is a lot of the schools didn't delay.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a mad rush. Buses were already out on routes while the snow was coming down, and you're starting to get like dustings and little coverings on area pavement, which is terrible. Well, I can tell you in Oldham County, where we live, there were three separate high schoolers that got into accidents.
Really?
One of them had to go to the hospital.
Wow.
So this was Monday morning. That's just one particular school district that I know of.
Yeah.
So there is going to be a lot of apprehension with what, thank goodness everyone was all right and we didn't have a terrible.
But even with a small snowfall in a crucial time period, you see impacts.
On Monday morning, because of what happened, that's another thing that will play into this, I think, is a lot of apprehension, like, we're once bitten, twice shy kind of thing coming off that. So that might allow to be a little bit easier for delays and closings. So there you go. That's snow number 1. We'll do a quick jump into
snow
this.
number 2, right? So stacking on more. I mean, we'll see some melting on Friday, but stack on more in spots that don't see that melting. Now, this one does appear to be a little bit further north of our area. We did see that trend with this one that's coming tonight. It looked like it was further north, and then every model run that came through, let's go 20 miles further south, 20 miles further south until, boom, bullseye right over our area. So not to say this one can't change, but it's been pretty consistently to our north with most of this stuff. And with the Arctic air coming in, it probably won't be as much of the heavy, wet snow.
It won't at all. In fact, I would bet the ranch that with this storm, we are going to see some sort of shift either south, maybe a little farther north. Let's put the weather puzzle together.
Mm-hmm.
The snow that we get tonight and what it does with any extra cold that it might lock in is going to be a variable that this next Arctic front and low pressure, this storm track, feeds off of. Also, this energy really isn't even necessarily sampled real well right now.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much bet the ranch that there is going to be some sort of change, whether it's a little tiny one or maybe more dramatic with the overall snow path, but certainly a better chance for more of a significant snow heading north from southern Indiana into central Indiana. But that doesn't mean we're going to escape it entirely.
No.
So I really think a good hypothetical with this, if we just play up, this is not an official forecast, say there is a covering to an inch of snow around Louisville and much of our viewing area with this. On the surface, a covering to an inch. But as you mentioned, the Arctic air, the cold nature, temperatures are going to be dropping through the 20s into the upper teens as this snow's coming down Saturday night through midnight.
Yeah.
Powder, fluff, temperatures dropping through the teens. It is, if it's not salted, it is going to stick.
And it's going to hang around for a while.
And that is a covering to an inch. That's playing up low-end amounts. Where that happens, there will be a high impact for travel Saturday night into church time Sunday morning.
I can guarantee that school will be canceled on Sunday. For sure. Just working on my dad jokes here.
So a lot to go through. That snow that gets on the ground and the snow that's on the ground from tonight will play a massive role with what happens with the temperatures, potential record cold. The bigger the snowpack, the more clearing. We could easily have real numbers that are below zero.
It will be brutal next week.
So
real shock to the system. In fact, we're getting close to the potential for record low temperatures there on Sunday. I was looking at the National Weather Service data logs and everything. They say that in 1914 it was a 15-degree high temperature on the 14th. That's what we have forecasted for this 14th as well.
And that's a little bit higher than a lot of the
computer models. Yep.
It really is.
Again, depending on how much snow we get, if we're on the upper echelon of these snowfall totals, could very well end up being even colder.
We'll show you one more look at that Arctic air up there in beautiful Yellowknife, 29 below zero.
That's not a feels like that's real.
That is the real deal. There's the
winter weather advisories from the Dakotas all the way down here.
Long advisory. There's the close-up view.
Yep.
Check in with Mark Weinberg, Radar Rick DeLuca tonight, because between 6 and 9 o'clock,
that's when we see it begin.
Trend. There you have it. And there'll be tweaking numbers. No forecast ever stays locked in.
Yeah.
I mean, it usually has to be adjusted somewhat. All right.
Thank you, brother. I mean, guys, again, this has been a big start to winter already.
If the long range is right, if you like snow and you want a white Christmas, you're going to have to go somewhere else. It looks